Before we start this panel discussion, I really want to thank you all. You've been an amazing audience. ऐसी audience हमने कहीं नहीं देखी जो हमारी बात सुनती ही नहीं है. तो पहले तो आप लोगों के लिए जोरदार तालियां. आप लोग यहाँ पर आए. Thank you so much. ये जो panel discussion है, before we start this panel discussion, this is not just a panel discussion, it's a big question. A big question. Why? Because India as a country is moving towards a new revolution of electric vehicles. And we are thinking about that किस जगह पर जाएं, कौन सी गाड़ी खरीदें, what to buy, what not to buy. Shall we buy an electric vehicle और डीजल गाड़ी ही खरीद लें? So सवाल बहुत सारे हैं और हमारे पास लाइव सवाल भी बहुत सारे हैं जो कि जी न्यूज़ हिंदी, DNA हिंदी, जी न्यूज़ इंग्लिश, DNA इंग्लिश पर हम लगातार पूछते रहेंगे. So my fellow panelists, मैं आप लोगों के साथ में अब ये सवाल पूछने वाला हूँ. I hope you are comfortable with both the languages. Yeah, right. So हमारे पास एक EV मेकर है, फिर हमारे पास EV चार्जिंग स्टेशन मेकर हैं और फिर हमारे पास एक एक्सपर्ट भी हैं. So by the end of this panel discussion, I think हम लोग गाड़ी खरीद लेंगे. So that's the goal. So before we start this, I just want to understand, and Pankaj, let's start from you because you're the expert here. I want to understand, are we ready for this revolution, or is this नितिन जी अभी बात कर रहे थे, हम पीछे मिले, बहुत सारी बातें हुई, और according to him, we're still a little far. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, the first steps are already there. We are seeing the change, and if you want to understand how big the change is going to happen, please see the three-wheeler market.
Yeah.
How fast they have adopted to electric vehicles. Two-wheelers, as Nitinji said, there are so many manufacturers already there. Three-wheelers, similarly, they are large manufacturers. And all the cars are on booking.
Yeah.
All the electric cars are on a booking of 1 year. I also get calls, ki sir, thoda jaldi kara doge kya, and all of that. So cars, and so that is a position, and so that's only a signal.
Yeah.
And Indian customers are very smart. You know, I say that each customer is like a businessman. He understands the value of money. Every time that he spends the money, he wants more value for it.
Yeah, right.
The day that he realizes that I am getting more from electric vehicle than petrol, we don't have to say it will be like a very fast change. I have seen in India how predominantly a geared scooter market got converted to the largest motorcycle manufacturer of the world, whereas our parents used to say, "Beta, tumko motorcycle nahi leke denge, पैर में चोट लग जाएगी,
Right.
तो scooter खरीदो." But from there, everybody is on motorcycle. Yeah. Why this happened? Because of that smart Indian consumer behavior.
Yeah, right.
They realized I get more value from a motorcycle than a scooter, and the switch happened. And I see the same thing going to happen in electric vehicle switchover. And I think all the governments are trying to do by 2030, 2035. I think it's going to happen much before that.
So Pankaj, that brings me to my next question, and I think rightly asked by one of our Facebook user, इतनी महंगी क्यों आती है ये गाड़ी? तो हमारे साथ में संजय जी भी हैं. Sanjay ji, the question is, why this is out of the reach of common people, and अभी भी लोग डीजल या पेट्रोल गाड़ी खरीदना पसंद करते हैं? Why this cost thing is there?
I think it is expensive today, but as the Honorable Minister also told, maybe over a period of next 5-6 years, the parity might come down, but still it might exist because of the battery cost and other electric motors cost. So that's what we feel. But I think over a period of time, if you see the total cost of operations जो लोग सोचते हैं, वो over a period of time 5 साल में आपको 2-3 साल में आप recover हो जाते हो.
Yeah.
You know? So वो वाला customers are started to understand now.
Right.
So slowly, even when we launched our first vehicle, which was predominantly for B2B, the fleet users started understanding that over a period of 2 years, they can recover the extra cost they are paying for that because of the huge difference in the cost and also the range which the vehicles give. So I think वो धीरे-धीरे अगले 5-6 साल में वो passenger vehicles में मेरे ख्याल में reduce होना शुरू हो जाएंगे.
Reduce होना शुरू हो जाएगा.
Because even if you see globally भी वो cost difference है अभी भी.
Right.
But हम सोच रहे हैं कि अगले 5-6 साल में वो रिडक्शन चालू हो जाएगा।
चालू हो जाएगा। BYD ऑटो 3, इस कार के अंदर मैंने सुना है बहुत लंबी रेंज है, हम बहुत दूर तक चले जाते हैं।
हाँ जी।
तो सर ने वो हाईवे खोला है, तो हम पूरा हाईवे पार कर पाएंगे क्या एक चार्ज में?
हाँ, एक चार्ज में हम 480 किलोमीटर जा सकते
Oh, that's
हैं।
fantastic.
हाँ जी।
बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर दैट। 480 किलोमीटर बहुत दूर होता है। मुझे राघव आपसे एक सवाल है। हम लोग बाहर बात कर रहे थे और श्री हमारे सेल्स हेड हैं, वो प्लान कर रहे थे एक ईवी, लेकिन उनको सेल्स की पूरी टीम ने बोल दिया चार्ज किधर करोगे, मोबाइल के चार्जर से तो होगा नहीं। तो ये जो प्रॉब्लम है कि चार्जिंग स्टेशंस कम हैं, ये क्यों है और इसके लिए आपको क्या लगता है इंडस्ट्री एंड गवर्नमेंट, क्या वो आपस में एक पेज पे हैं, आर दे ऑन द सेम पेज?
See, I think industry and government definitely same page mein. EV revolution, just like every other revolution, is a factor of a lot of things coming down together. And it is also paralleled with a lot of awareness that follows it side by side. As my fellow panelists also mentioned, one thing which is range is already becoming bigger. BYD Auto 3 going 480 kilometers in itself is huge, but at the same time, at Static, as a charging company, parallel with government efforts, we've tried to make sure that every highway, and we're following Gadkari ji on that, every highway has chargers at every 50 kilometers now. So you can actually go from Delhi to Jaipur in a charge, but at the same time, you can also stop at every 50 kilometers and do your charging, hop on for a coffee, get super fast charges on the network. There are challenges, of course, that we acknowledge. Challenges are across infrastructure, challenges are across land infra, electricity grid. But all of these are being paralleled with innovations around charging solutions that we are doing. In India, electricity grid is very unstable, and all of us don't deny to that. And it's obvious that we'll have to do innovations to match that kind of a gap. But that also creates opportunities for companies like us to innovate around and bring in charging solutions which give comfort to users. And all of these charging destination points all across the highways are paralleled with innovations around electric vehicles, batteries, ranges increasing, and the push for government is always helping all of us around to push this revolution ahead.
Raghav, I have another question for you from a user, but before that, Pankaj, I would like to know why still there is a hesitation about it. Like sir has mentioned, you were also saying that people will move to. What is the current hesitation? What exactly is the point?
So currently, you know, the biggest challenge is the cost. It's more expensive. Then the range anxiety, that okay, if I have to go from X place to another, will I get a charging station? Raghav, on a point. And at the end of it, the security, like will I give it to my wife? Will I give it to my daughter to go in a vehicle which may get stuck somewhere? That psychological impact is there. So the moment we overcome these, as you asked the first question on the cost, the maximum, the cost is more because of the battery. Because anywhere from 40 to 60% of the cost of the battery in the overall vehicle. In the two-wheeler, three-wheeler segment, it's going to happen much faster the moment we start using swappable battery. The swappable battery you don't have to purchase. So Gadkari साहब से इसकी जब वो कुछ सालों बाद बराबर हो जाएगी, I say that it will become even lesser than the petrol vehicle. That is when, and the cost of the electrical charging facility is much lower than equivalent petrol and diesel expense. So what you are doing from your pocket every month, you get, you know, even a lower cost, and the cost of the vehicle is lesser. So the first point will get addressed, then the switchover will happen very fast. Yeah. Second is definitely charging. The charging infrastructure is improving in the country already. Yeah. If you talk to the people who have bought cars, they will tell you and vouch for this, that they are getting charging now across. So these are things that the changes will happen, and it will become very fast.
Okay, हमारे पास एक यूज़र का सवाल है और उन्होंने पूछा है कि मैं मेट्रो सिटी में नहीं रहता हूँ। अब वो सिटी शहर उन्होंने उसमें मेंशन नहीं किया है, बस मेट्रो सिटी लिखा है। मैं मेट्रो सिटी में नहीं रहता हूँ, तो मुझे टू व्हीलर खरीदना चाहिए या नहीं इलेक्ट्रिक?
See, in two-wheelers, the charging is not necessarily that you have to go to very fast chargers, because the battery is much lower capacity. The motor that I use is much lower capacity. So you can charge it at home also. So for two-wheeler, you'll be surprised that the electric vehicle is very high sales are happening in states like Bihar. So, which is far away from the metro cities. So, the infrastructure for a two-wheeler is not that much required, which is like where cars you need high voltage, high powered batteries where the fast charging has to happen. In the two-wheelers, you have like batteries that can be removed easily and you can charge at your home. So it's much easier. So for that customer, I'd say you should definitely try to get, but you have to be careful to get a good battery and safe battery.
Sanjay ji, that brings me to the question. आप किस जगह पर भारत में किस स्टेट में आप लोग सबसे ज़्यादा गाड़ियाँ देख रहे हैं? इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स आर गोइंग आउट एंड पीपल आर परचेजिंग, पीपल आर बुकिंग. विच रीजन ऑफ द कंट्री?
I think if you see generally across the various models available, South India is the biggest adoption of electric vehicles. I think Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kerala, these are some of the markets which are actually growing fast. And that is main reason is the charging infrastructure is developing very fast there. You know, I think that is the main reason. So South markets, you know, account for more than 60% of the electric vehicles in the country, followed by Mumbai, and then other North markets coming.
Oh, that's great. So South में charging और electric vehicles ज़्यादा book हो रहे हैं.
हाँ जी.
तो राघव फिर वहाँ पे charger भी ज़्यादा लगा रहे हो आप?
Of course, the idea is to expand chargers all across the country. We started with North 3 years ago. And as Pankaj ji also said, you know, our focus has always not just been to make an accessible network. Establishing a charging station is one part of the job done. And in India, a cost-centric market like India, it is very, very important for the chargers to be very reliable. As you would want to allow your wife or daughter to go with without an apprehension कि वहाँ चार्जिंग होगी या नहीं. आज आप पेट्रोल भरवाने जाते हो तो आपको डर नहीं लगता, बट हो सकता है चार्जिंग करने जाओ तो लगे. तो वी आर ट्राइंग टू मेक श्योर कि हम चार्जर्स कहीं भी लगाएं, वो अफोर्डेबल हो, चार्जिंग एक्सपीरियंस आपका अफोर्डेबल हो और रिलायबल हो. रिलायबल चार्जिंग के बिना of course you can't really do anything. I mean, install 100 chargers or 2000 chargers won't make a difference, which is why we actually started making our own tech, which is what we do today. I mean, the only ones in the country making chargers in-house, making an app in-house, and then installing them as a service. That has come a long way with us.
I think another important point, you know, to all the charging infrastructure which is happening, the biggest challenge the consumer mind is, you know, there is a fear that compatibility of the charger with the vehicle.
Right.
So many times the customer calls up the dealership and tells on the highway, it's not compatible. It is not happening. Fast charging is not happening. So I think this is one of the challenges which the consumers are facing. Fear is there. So what now I think all the charging companies, OEMs are doing is they're checking each and every charger on the highway with the car compatibility. So once that happens, then the fear will move off. That is also there in the consumer's mind. If I'm going from Delhi to Jaipur or Chennai to Bangalore, will my car be compatible with the charger which is fixed on the highway?
Right.
So that is one of the major, because a lot of customers call up the dealership. It's across all OEMs. This charger is not functioning because the power is not there or the app is not showing the model. So this kind of challenges, I think all of us, you know, sitting together have to overcome this. Then the consumers will get more, you know, reliability on this.
Raghav, have you heard any of these complaints with your chargers, or at Startech you are doing some innovation with the technology that we can get, you know, certain quality of chargers, so that ये वाला problem जो अभी होता है ना कि highway पे जा रहे हैं और वो हमारा fast charger वहाँ पे काम नहीं कर रहा है, वो नहीं होना चाहिए.
So there are of course challenges across the highways around grid stability. As I said, you can have internet issues, but and users do call us at times, and we've been there for 3 years listening to all the problems on highways from early adopters. But that's how the revolution is going to play out. That's how this EV thing is going to become very, very common to the common man. You know, we are solving all of them. Today we've made sure बिना internet के भी आपकी charging हो जाएगी. We've made sure अगर वहाँ electricity नहीं है, तो at least हम आपको पहले ही बता दें कि आप वहाँ ना जाओ. So all of this is coming down together for users to make sure that they become more aware. And I'm not saying this because I'm an entrepreneur in the ecosystem, but I'm saying this because I've experienced the fact that EVs today are not being bought more because of lack of awareness. You come to pricing, you've got operational costs, balancing upfront costs. You come to charging, you've got enough innovation happening and chargers being installed for the user to be more relaxed.
Right. पंकज, आपको लगता है हमारे पास एक साथ बहुत सारे ऐसे सवाल आए, मतलब लाइन से मुझे लगता है 10-20 सवाल थे। क्या 10 साल में इंडिया में पेट्रोल डीजल व्हीकल जो हैं वो बंद हो जाएंगे? क्या ऐसा हो सकता है? ये सवाल यहाँ पर बैठे हुए लोगों के भी थे, मैं नाम नहीं बताऊंगा उनके। तो क्या बंद हो जाएंगे और सिर्फ ईवीज रह जाएंगे? फिर ये सुजुकी कटाना मैं खरीदने वाला था, मैं क्या करूँगा उसका?
नहीं, देखिए, जो अभी की जो करंट पॉलिसी है कि 10 साल में डीजल को आपको स्क्रैप करना होगा और 15 साल में पेट्रोल के, तो जो जिसके पास 15 साल का ऑप्शन है पेट्रोल में और 10 साल का ऑप्शन है डीजल में, और ये सब कुछ 2-3 साल के बाद काउंटडाउन शुरू हो जाएगा। सो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अनदर 15 to 20 years there will be a very diminishing petrol vehicles on the road, and electric vehicle is going to skyrocket very fast. So right now, if you see, there are hardly 2% vehicle every month is being sold is electric. 98% is still fossil fuel vehicle. But this trend is changing very fast, and over a period of time, this scrapping policy will help a lot.
तो आप मेरे को एडवाइस कर रहे हो अभी पेट्रोल में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करूं, मैं वो
15 साल के लिए कर सकते हो आप।
राघव, योर व्यूज ऑन दैट?
So I'm on the same page. In fact, I'm more bullish on that 15-year number. I do agree कि 15 साल बाद तो you won't see much. But I am also of a vision कि after 5 to 7 years from now, if you have a petrol vehicle that you bought in 2022, you will look back and probably think कि शायद मैंने 2022 में वो गाड़ी ना खरीदी होती और EV खरीदी होती तो अच्छा रहता, because awareness is going to increase. I mean, from the outside of the ecosystem, people might think कि हमारे पास चार्जर्स की प्रॉब्लम है, ऑपरेशनल कॉस्ट है। आज जब आप एक EV ओनर और एक IC ओनर को देखोगे और उनको बात करते हुए देखोगे, क्योंकि वो खरीद चुका है EV, तो आप एक्चुअली में देख पाओगे कि वो EV ओनर प्रूव कर पा रहा है IC वाले को कि मेरे को कॉस्ट का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मैं चार्जिंग भी इजीली कर पा रहा हूँ, द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज ऑल्सो कमिंग अलॉन्ग वेल, एंड इनोवेशंस इन कार्स आर ऑल्सो हैपनिंग, रेंज इज इंक्रीजिंग, प्राइस इज डिक्रीजिंग. सो for me, it's a matter of, obviously 100% is a different metric to be reached. But when you talk about 70 to 80% of that, that's going to happen in the next 7-8 years.
Sanjay ji?
Yeah, I think I have a different view, even though from the same industry. But I think two-wheeler, three-wheeler, yes, adoption is happening very fast. So maybe 2030, 2035, 60%, 70%, which people are talking about.
Right.
Four-wheelers, it will take more time because you need to have choices for the consumer. In IC engines, you have choices for the customer. You go to the manufacturer, you will have hundreds of choices. But in EV, you don't have so much choices. So when OEMs start developing choices, 20 cars, 30 cars, 30 variants, 40 variants,
right,
then it will start happening. So it will take a longer time, compared to two-wheelers and three-wheelers. That's my view. So it will coexist maybe another 15 years, so I don't know, but this is what my feeling is, my personal gut feeling, because you should have choices for the consumer. Today, if you walk into, for an IC thing, you have choices. You have more than 100 models available.
Yeah.
But in EV, you only have 4 or 5. So that has to go, exponentially up from all OEMs. Then that will start happening.
तो ऑल ऑफ यू, आपने डिस्करेज कर दिया मेरे थॉट को। मैं कटाना पे बैठ के सुबह फोटो खिंचवा रहा था, मुझे लगा था मैं घर तो ले जाऊंगा।
For two-wheeler, three-wheeler, yes, it is happening. But for four-wheeler, I will still say it will take time.
It will take time.
So it's directly proportional to the benefit to the customer. So if you see that, the switch is happening very fast in the commercial segment where the number of kilometers driven every day is very high.
Right.
Now, if you have a car and you're driving 10 kilometers a day and you save 7 rupees a day, then 200 rupees a month, 2,400 rupees every month, you're least bothered about it. But if you have to run 300 kilometers every day, you will change. And that's what's happening. So you don't have to go and check why most of the sales are happening. It's mostly going to the commercial segment.
Yeah.
They are buying the maximum because they realize it's money, extra money for them.
But एक बड़ा cultural change आ जाएगा. It will be a big cultural shock for people, especially on Delhi roads. कि वो उसने कहा आजा रेस लगाएगा और मेरा चार्ज कम हो गया है। तो ये ऑन द गो चार्जिंग, हमारा अगला सवाल यही था राघव, ऑन द गो चार्जिंग क्या इस तरह की कोई फैसिलिटी मिलेगी? अभी आप अगर थार में ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं, आप पीछे डिक्की में डीजल पेट्रोल लेके घूम सकते हैं, क्या ऑन द गो फैसिलिटीज़ हैं? क्या ऑन द गो चार्ज मिल सकता है?
See, there is always opportunity for more innovation is what we always believe, right? There can be many things, but at the same time, what we also believe is, आप थार में 5 लीटर 10 लीटर पेट्रोल रख के चल सकते हो, but शायद अगर आप ना भरवाओ तो वो भी खत्म हो जाए. And the same is going to happen in chargers as well. You can have, let's say, a 30 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt. Batteries are very heavy though. But even if you have an extra battery pack or some innovation happening, hypothetically, that also, you might still also run out batteries, right? And with charging times being so small, I mean, you can actually charge cars in 20-25 minutes, enough to drive around for, let's say, 3 days in a city. If you're very calculative about stuff, you might also not run out of charge like you don't run out of fuel at all. That's what I believe here.
So,
I will give you an example here. You know, I was selling off-road vehicles, electric vehicle, and I sold it to some forest department. And they posed this problem that if I go to the forest 60 kilometers inside and the battery comes off, what should I do? So we actually found a solution. We gave them a silent generator, which was running on diesel. but if you feel that that's a cheating, but then if you get stuck, you will not get stuck. You can charge it on the go.
Yeah, well, that's a smart solution. Anyway,
we gave that to the forest department. They bought it and they're using it right now also.
Sanjay ji, what are the challenges you are facing right now? BYD Auto 3 model बहुत सारा बिक रहा है या अभी भी challenges आते हैं लोगों को खरीदने से पहले जो सवाल आते हैं अभी भी मार्केट में पेनिट्रेट करने में प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं ईवीज को
we'll start sales only in January. हमने सिर्फ bookings चालू किया है. So I think the first model which we are selling, I think 3 main questions come to the consumer mind is charging infrastructure, how much range I can get, and what is the life of, what is the residual value of the EV. I think the residual value of the EV is the biggest challenge any consumer faces across all the EV segments, because it's only 3 years or 2 years old, so people still don't know the residual value. Even finance companies are reluctant to finance loans because they don't know, like an IC engine, you have a residual value. But for EVs, you don't have a residual value till now. People really don't know what's the life of the vehicle, what's the residual value after 3 years or 5 years or 6 years. So I think because all vehicles are 2 years or 3 years, only after 2-3 years more in the market, people will come to know about the residual value. I think these are some of the 3 key questions which the consumer needs to be educated. So EV is like selling, it's not selling, it's education and making the consumer understand. It's more of a education to the consumer, and then he understands and then he buys the EV. It's not selling, just go and sell, you buy. He doesn't do that. So I think EV selling is a concept selling, it's more of an educational selling. So it will happen for the next 3-4 years before actually people start realizing the importance, and that's what all of us are doing across all OEMs. That's what is happening.
So quick conclusion, अगर आप तीनों की बात में मानो, आप तीनों एकदम experts हो गए. अभी हमारे पास कार मेकर भी हैं, एडवाइज़र भी हैं और चार्जर वाले भाई साहब भी हैं. तो अगर हम तीनों की बात माने तो ऐसा आज खरीद लूँ, फिर 3-4 साल बाद खरीदनी है ईवी, ऐसा करना है, या आज ईवी में इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं? Quickly, one line answer.
आप 2-wheeler आप EV खरीद सकते हो.
2-wheeler आप EV खरीद, अरे कार मेकर कह रहे हैं, 2-wheeler
कर सकते हो, कार भी आप कर सकते हो.
See, my view is you can still buy a 4-wheeler without any apprehensions. I drive one and I seriously don't face any issues. And with how things are anyway getting better. So you might have 1 or 2 challenges today, but those are going to be solved.
See, Pankaj is your friend. I know you have a diesel charger, diesel generator there in your dicky.
So I think definitely 2-wheeler, 3-wheelers are being sold and people are accepting that very fast, and 4-wheeler in the commercial segment. So, and this will happen. But I think one thing, if we make a change that will really expedite this, is the infrastructure where we are parking our cars. So we are talking about fast charging when we are going on the road like a petrol station. But when we park our car, there is no socket there. So what is required is to put sockets in every parking. That should be made mandatory from the government side, and which should be like any parking, whether it is a public parking or your private parking or any housing apartments parking, it should have a socket at every car that is standing. And that will help charging very fast.
Yeah, and that's why Zee News, at Zee News, we are trying to aware our audience, our people. We are working with the manufacturers also, and we are doing these campaigns on our digital portals, our digital handles, that people should know, people should go for these vehicles, and we are going to promote all these vehicles across. ऐसा नहीं है कि सर सिर्फ आपका ही promote करेंगे, दूसरे का भी promote करेंगे, and we know that EV is future. Let's hope for a better future and non-pollution wala, right, sir? Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Cheers.